Good evening and welcome to News Connect. I'm Amritpal Singh. Well, this is a show in which we speak about what happened in the country in the day just going by and around the world. Well, the biggest story of the hour, 4 crore or more than 4 crore unorganized workers have registered themselves at the e-Shram portal. What is this e-Shram portal? How will it benefit the unorganized sector? We'll talk more about that in the show. We'll tell you the details of that. Also, a big development, the BCCI or the Board of Cricket Control in India has invited applications for the coaches for the national team. Who all are in the race, who could be in the race, could there be changes in the coaching setup of the Indian cricket team? We'll talk about that over the next 1 hour. But first up, the headlines we are tracking at this hour. More than 4 crore unorganized workers have registered themselves at the e-Shram portal. Largest number of workers are registered from the agriculture and construction sectors. In a tweet, Union Minister of Labour and Employment Bhupendra Yadav says registration at e-Shram will facilitate unorganized workers to get the benefits of government schemes easily and conveniently. India's cumulative COVID-19 vaccination coverage exceeds 97.65 crore. Recovery rate currently at 98.10%, highest since March 2020. New cases declined to 14,146 in the last 24 hours, lowest in 229 days. World Bank Group President David Malpass congratulates India on its stellar COVID-19 vaccination campaign. Also thanks India's international role in vaccine production and distribution across the world. Kerala flood continues to wreak havoc in several districts. 12 persons feared killed. Government agencies and other voluntary organizations are coordinating with the NDRF team. The fire, the army, the navy and the air force are in rescue and relief operations. Home Minister says centre continuously monitoring the situation and will provide all possible support to help the people of Kerala. The BJP starts the Samajik Sampark Campaign in Uttar Pradesh from today. Under the campaign, party's representatives will connect with the people by taking the mantra of self-reliant India with everyone's faith and everyone's efforts. India clinches record time SAFF championship for the 8th time, defeating Nepal 3-0 at Maldives National Football Stadium in Male. Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur congratulates the Indian football team on winning the championship's title. And now the big story of the hour. In less than 2 months, more than 4 crore workers have registered at the e-Shram portal. Minister for Labour and Employment Bhupendra Yadav said that by registering, the unorganized workers will be able to get benefits of government schemes easily. Currently, over 4.09 crore workers have registered themselves on the portal. Of these, around 50.02% beneficiaries are female and 49.98% are male. Workers in diverse occupations such as construction, apparel manufacturing, fishing, gig and platform work, street vending, domestic work, agriculture and allied professions, transport sector have registered at the portal. All unorganized workers, including migrant workers, can now take the benefits of various social security and employment-based schemes through registration at the e-Shram portal. Odisha, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and Madhya Pradesh are at the forefront of this initiative with the highest number of registrations. The largest number of workers registered is from the agriculture and construction sectors, with an overwhelming proportion, 77% of workers have registered themselves through the CSCs. This registration would facilitate the delivery and accessibility to crucial welfare programs and various entitlements meant for the workers in the unorganized sector and employment. And my colleague Vishal Baristo joins us for more on that. Vishal, if you could put in perspective that these registration of more than 4 crore workers, the minister today said that it will grant access to government schemes with convenience to these workers. How is it going to be a game changer?
Well, more than 4 million within 2 months, that's quite an achievement. Good afternoon, Amrit Pal. Yes, this e-Shram has been quite an achievement on part of the government, because we have a data which tells us that 38 crore are the workforce of the country, and out of that 4 crores have already registered themselves. Is quite an achievement. And as you informed the viewers that most of them, they belong to Odisha, UP, MP, Bihar. These are the states that provide most of the workforce, and also includes the migratory workers. Now, why was it required, and how it can be beneficial is very important, because most of them, they either migrate or work from a different state. Now, when you have registered yourself, you get a unique universal number, that is called UAM. And through that you will be registered, you will get a 12-digit number, which would be the UAM, and you will get all the information, all the benefits of the policies. Meanwhile, it will also help the government to make policies for such a huge workforce, because COVID has been quite a dampening for the Indian economy. So this the e-Shram portal will provide all the benefits that one needs. And it was quite heartening to note that if we go by caste wise, the OBCs have been the leader in this registration, followed by the general category, and then the SCs and the STs. Obviously, women workforce have edged out once again, and they have registered themselves with a percentage of 50.02, and the men, they are not very far behind, 49.98. So this is going to be quite beneficial, not only for the workforce that we have in the country, 38 crore, as I inform our viewers, but also for the government, because as time change, the government also wants to formulate new policies and to reach out to the people. And the government, which has been following the vision of Antodaya, that is to reach out to the last man in the queue. So this e-Shram would go a long way.
All right, Vishal, the most of the people who have registered are from the agriculture and construction sectors. What is the reason for that? I mean, are there more unorganized labor in this sector?
Well, absolutely. When we talk about the unorganized sector, this is the sector that we need to focus upon, because agriculture and the construction sector, there's a lot of demand, especially for these two sectors. And when you have a huge workforce in these sectors which are unorganized, and that is largely unaware of the benefits that is being provided by the government, and most of the time they are not able to even reach out to those benefits. So through this e-Shram portal, they would get all the benefits. And it is not only about not only through the portals that you have to register yourself. You can also register yourself through your mobile number, which is connected to your Aadhaar number, and through that you can get this 12-digit universal account number, and that would be quite beneficial to you. And when we talk about the agriculture sector and the construction sector, now these two sectors have been providing the workforce which are largely unorganized, and that is why it would be very, very beneficial. Though we have other sectors as well, as you informed our viewers, that migratory laborers, they are there, the ones who are the street vendors, ones who are providing milk, the vegetable vendors. But largely speaking, the agriculture and the construction sector provides most of the unorganized workforce, and this workforce will get all the benefits. And it does not end there, because we have a workforce which is 38 crore. So it is just the starting, but quite an achievement within 2 months. And then the government would be able to, formulate new policies for them, because every time you have the data available with you, you can always work on that, and you can come up with new policies that would benefit the people at large.
Vishal, though it's a generalization that I make, but it's largely true that many of the people working in the unorganized sector, say as construction labor or even farm labor, may not be technology savvy. Many of them could be illiterate. So how does the government ensure good registration for a portal? Because you need to have access to the internet, you need to go on there, there would be a CAPTCHA code, you would have to log in there, register yourself. How's the government ensuring greater participation?
Well, quite a pertinent question, Amritpal. Yes, when we talk about the unorganized sector, now this thing is the most challenging. How to make them aware? First of all, you get yourself registered, and that is what the government has done. It has been in touch for a long time with the different trade unions and the trade leaders. They have been asked, and they have been informed as to how you can get yourself registered. How can you help your brothers? Because trade union leaders play a huge role in convincing the labor force. And apart from that, the government also says that it has been in touch with the media, and it is the responsibility of people like us so that we can also help people through spreading this news as to which portal are available, how you can get, what are the steps, like if you have your mobile phone which is connected to your Aadhaar card, so stepwise how you can register yourself. So to make them understand in the local language, the media can also play a big role, and that's what the minister said. Trade unions, media, everybody's help is invited.
So this portal is in local language, in regional languages as well?
Yeah, it seems so, because as the minister said that most of the registration have been done from places like Odisha, UP and Bihar. Now this is the area where you have a huge workforce, but when we talk about the unorganized sector, they are not quite not only unskilled but also not quite informed. So the government is trying to reach out to these people in their own languages.
All right, Vishal Baristo, many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. Thank you. And moving on, India continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic. In the last 24 hours, new cases of COVID-19 declined to 14,146 in the country, which is the lowest in 229 days. 19,788 patients recovered from COVID-19 in the 24-hour span. This has increased total recoveries to 3 crore 34 lakh 19,749. India's recovery is the highest since March 2020 and is currently at 98.10%. Active cases account for less than 1% of the total cases. It is the lowest since March 2020 and now stands at 0.57%. The active caseload is the lowest in 220 days and now stands at 1,95,846. The weekly positivity rate remains below 3% for the last 114 days and is currently at 1.42%. The daily positivity rate is also less than 3% for the last 48 days and is now at 1.29%. The testing capacity in the country has been ramped up. Over 11 lakh samples were tested for COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. A total of 59 crore 9,35,381 samples have been tested across the country so far. And now for an update on the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination drive. India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 97 crore 65 lakh mark. Cumulatively, 97 crore 65 lakh 89,540 vaccine doses have been administered till now in the country under the nationwide vaccination drive. 41 lakh 20,772,000 vaccine doses were administered on Saturday. More than 101.7 crore vaccine doses have been provided to the states and UTs so far. More than 10.42 crore balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and UTs to be administered. World Bank President David Malpass thanked Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman for India's important role in the COVID vaccine production and distribution. World Bank Group President David Malpass congratulated the Finance Minister on India's successful COVID-19 vaccination campaign. Sitaraman met Malpass at the World Bank headquarters in Washington, D.C., where she is there for a G20 Foreign Finance Ministers meeting. President Malpass reaffirmed the World Bank's strong commitment to India across all World Bank Group entities, including the International Finance Corporation and the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. And the IMF has commended Indian government's swift and substantial response to COVID-19 pandemic and noted that there is a possibility of faster than expected recovery. IMF said its directors commend the Indian government's response to the pandemic, which includes scaled-up support to vulnerable groups, monetary policy easing and liquidity provision, accommodative financial sector and regulatory policies, and continued structural reforms. IMF's executive board held consultations with India to assess the state of its economy and finances. IMF said that despite the pandemic, India continued to introduce structural reforms, including labor reforms and a privatization plan. Delhi and the National Capital Region received moderate rainfall and thunderstorms today. Following the downpour, the air quality in the city is expected to improve in the evening hours. According to India Meteorological Department, thunderstorms with light to moderate intensity rain will continue to occur over and adjoining areas of many places of entire Delhi and Noida during the next 2 hours. IMD scientist Naresh Kumar said that intense spell of rainfall activity over northwest region of the country will likely to continue till October 19th due to strong easterlies from the Bay of Bengal.
At present, easterly winds are prevailing, strong easterly winds are prevailing from the Bay of Bengal to the northwest India, up to northwest India. Under its influence, we are expecting high weather activity over northwest India, even adjoining central India, even East India and northeastern India also we are expecting the high weather activities. If you talk about the northwest India, we are expecting heavy spell from today onwards, and it will be heavy spell wind about 6 to 7 centimeter we are expecting over Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, Uttarakhand and this region, northern part of Haryana, and day 2 activity will increase.
In Kerala, the number of fatalities due to Kottayam landslide has climbed to 12. Meanwhile, relief and rescue operations continue in the state with choppers airlifting stranded people from isolated areas. The Indian Navy has released a video showcasing the Indian Navy's helicopters delivering food and relief material to people. Operations of the Navy are being supervised from the Southern Naval Command. The Army, the Navy and the NDRF are on high alert. And the Indian Army has also deployed 31-member team in the state for rescue operations. A 16-member engineering task force has also been deployed. The roads are damaged and blocked by tree branches, making rescue operations difficult for the teams. Dog squads are working to locate trapped people. The rainfall in the state is expected to last till today evening. Meanwhile, Dr. S. Abhilash said that the heavy rains in the state were following because of the low pressure in southeast Arabian Sea and active western disturbances. The central Kerala is adversely affected, while heavy cloud formation has resulted in incessant rains in the state.
The heavy rains and the flooding situation and landslide in Kerala in the last day was mainly because of the presence of a low pressure system which had formed over the Southeast Arabian Sea close to Lakshadweep, and then yesterday it came very close to Kerala and made landfall around the central Kerala. So associated with that, there were a lot of clouding, organized cloud system found over the entire Kerala from Trivandrum to Calicut coast. The rainfall occurred in the last day was of the order of like 20 centimeters in 3 hours. That And considering the extent of these clouds, that cumulonimbus cloud, towering clouds that extend from 1 kilometer above the surface to up to a height of 14 kilometers, that can have the more potential and more damage potential than a normal shallow clouds observed during monsoon season. That type of cloud can produce both lightning and heavy flash floods and heavy rain in a short period of time.
Meanwhile, devotees will not be allowed to visit Sabrimala temple today and tomorrow due to heavy rains, and the red alert has been issued by the IMD in the Patana Thitta district. Devotees have been asked to refrain from visiting Sabrimala temple in Kerala for 2 days, that's today and tomorrow. And IMD scientist Naresh Kumar said that another wet spell is expected in a few days due to active easterlies.
Yesterday there was a low pressure area over southeast Arabian Sea adjoining Kerala. Because of that there was extremely heavy rainfall up to 29 centimeter occurs over Kerala region, and we have issued the red alert also. Today it has reduced significantly, and now today if you see the meteorological condition, there is a trough from that is south interior Karnataka to South Tamil Nadu. Under its influence, we are expecting heavy spell only. Heavy mean maximum up to 6 to 7 centimeter only. And thereafter, again, we are expecting a fresh spell of easterly wave, which will influence south peninsular India, specifically Kerala and Tamil Nadu. It may cause heavy rainfall on 20th, 21st. Again, heavy means 6 to 7 centimeter.
And Union Home Minister Amit Shah has taken to Twitter and said that his department is continuously monitoring the situation in parts of Kerala in wake of the heavy rainfall and flooding. The central government will provide all possible support to help the people in need. NDRF teams have already been sent to assist the rescue operations. Home Minister also prayed for everyone's safety. And my colleague Joseph Martin joins us for more updates from Trivandrum over the phone line. He's in Kochi over the phone line. Joseph, tell us what the latest situation is as far as flooding and the rain situation in Kerala.
Amitpal Singh, the total official death toll is now stands at 18.
Okay.
10 dead bodies of the missing persons were recovered from Kootikal in Kottayam, out of which, seven bodies were recovered only today. Yesterday we had two young couples.
So these 18, Joseph, are the figures of those the fatalities due to the Kottayam landslide?
Yeah, Kootikal alone 10 dead bodies are recovered.
Okay.
And 3 were recovered yesterday and 7 bodies recovered today. And yesterday a couple lost their life in the car as the car was washed into a canal in Todupuzha. That is in Idukki, a part of Idukki. Todupuzha is in Idukki. And in Kokkayar, out of the missing persons, 6 bodies were recovered today. Totally, it stands at 18 now.
Okay.
The total death toll. Now, IMD has issued alerts of thunder showers for a few more days. Excuse me, till 21st. Even though the low pressure which has formed is now becoming weakened over Arabian Sea, and Thiruvananthapuram, Kollam, Pathanamthitta, Alappuzha, Kottayam, Idukki, Ernakulam, Thrissur, Malappuram, Kozhikode, these districts are now in the category of yellow alert. NDRF teams each are doing, 6 teams are there, and each are deployed in each badly affected states, districts. 5 more troops of NDRF are yet to come in. They are on standby.
Okay. All right. Also, Joseph, give us a sense of what is the flooding situation.
The rain has stopped for some time since midday, and now the water is receding. The Navy operated a surveillance sort of sortie with a chopper, and they mapped the area for possible landing sites, and they found that the water is receding. So that is giving much hope for the people, for the rescue team. And they say that it is easier for them to do the rescue operations on land rather than airlifting them. So in case if they require for any assistance from the Navy, they are ready with choppers on standby mode.
You're saying that they're saying that it's easier for them to conduct the rescue operations on land than from...
On land, yes, that is right. Army is there and the RF team is there. 2 teams of Army is already there in the badly affected districts. They are doing the work. They are recovering the bodies, or they are taking the stranded people to the safety.
Joseph, earlier reports that we were getting that there were a lot of blockages, connectivity was an issue because trees have fallen on the roads, so the army, the ground troops were facing difficulty in reaching, the affected parts.
Yes, that is true, because it was also raining and the water was gushing down, the mud was flowing down, and it was blocking the road. Now, since the rain has stopped for many hours, that they could clear the branches, they could cut away the trees, and there are more locals are also involved. They are doing it in a fast pace so that people could travel by road to or reach the badly affected spot.
Okay, and give us a sense of the power situation.
Power situation, they are doing, they are reconnecting, trying to reconnect. Some places are badly hit. That needs to be, the new post has to be put in. So the power will take over 1 or 2 days more in certain areas. Okay.
But the danger is not over yet, right? The IMDs predicted that, you could have yet another wet spell in the coming days.
No, the IMD has given alerts since the low pressure is diminishing over this area.
Right.
So there can be some kind of thunder showers, not to this extent.
Okay. So because of the low pressure decreasing. All right.
Yeah, low pressure is diminishing.
All right. Joseph Martin, many thanks for joining us and giving us this update. Thank you. And moving on, Uttarakhand is also likely to receive very heavy rainfall on the 18th of October. The IMD has said this, issuing a red alert. The IMD, the Weather Department, wrote to the state government to remain alert and make all necessary arrangements. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrived in Israel on Sunday on a 5-day visit, during which he will hold talks with Israel's top leadership to mutually prepare a roadmap for further enriching the strategic ties, besides exploring new areas of bilateral collaboration. The minister tweeted, and I quote him, "Shalom Israel, arrived on my first visit as External Affairs Minister, looking forward to a great visit," unquote. The Bharatiya Janata Party has begun the Samajik Sampark Campaign in Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh from today. Under the campaign, party representatives connect with people by taking the mantra of self-reliant India. The party is organizing 27 meetings beginning today till the 31st of this month. The party representatives will deliberate on government public welfare schemes and historic decisions under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the state BJP government led by UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. On this occasion, Yogi Adityanath addressed the Pichda Varg Conference in Lucknow. Chief Minister Yogi said that Uttar Pradesh has been through a sea change after 2017. He said people in Uttar Pradesh have got houses of their own. Sanitation in rural areas has improved with the construction of toilets, and in terms of electricity as well. All of the houses have been electrified in these years, he claims.
2017 के पहले उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर आवास गरीबों को नहीं बन रहे थे। आज हम लोग ग्रामीण और शहरी क्षेत्र में 42 लाख लोगों की आवास बना रहे हैं। उनको प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना और मुख्यमंत्री आवास योजना के साथ जोड़ रहे हैं। 2017 के पहले स्वच्छ भारत मिशन के अंतर्गत गरीबों के शौचालय नहीं बन पा रहे थे। आज 2,61,00,000 गरीबों के शौचालय बनाने के बाद अब ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में सामुदायिक शौचालयों के निर्माण का कार्य भी हो रहा है। पहले बिजली 4 जनपदों में मिलती थी, 75 जनपदों में 4 जनपद में बिजली, बाकी 71 जनपद अंधेरे में रहते थे। आज भाइयों बहनों, आपने देखा होगा कोयला का संकट वर्तमान में आया है। जो कोयले की खदान थी वहां पानी भर गया भारी बरसात के कारण, लेकिन तब भी 1 यूनिट बिजली हमें 22 रुपए की पड़ रही, तब भी हम बिजली खरीद रहे हैं।
And further, Yogi Adityanath said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's mantra of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas has taken shape in all these years. This mantra has given voice to the voiceless.
सबके सुख की कामना, सबके आरोग्यता की कामना, और इसीलिए प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने इस देश को एक मंत्र दिया था, सबका साथ सबके विकास का। सभी के कल्याण के लिए कार्य करेंगे, वंचित दबे कुचले लोगों की आवाज को एक आवाज देंगे, उसे आगे बढ़ने का अवसर देंगे। और 2014 के बाद से लगातार प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में देश के अंदर जो कार्य हुए हैं या हो रहे हैं, आप सबके सामने हैं।
Speaking at the event, Chief Minister said that this year over 9 lakh diyas will be lit in Ayodhya on the occasion of Deepavali.
आज आप देखते होंगे चीन की मूर्तियां आनी बंद हो गई, अब दीपावली के दीपक भी यही बनने लग गए हैं। मुझे याद है 2017 में जब हमें दीपोत्सव का कार्यक्रम अयोध्या में करना था, तो दीपोत्सव के उस कार्यक्रम के लिए हमें 51,000 दीपक नहीं मिल पा रहे थे, और इस बार हम 9 लाख दीपक जलाएंगे अयोध्या में मिट्टी के। हम ग्रामीण और शहरी क्षेत्र में अब तक 42 लाख परिवारों को एक आवास दे चुके हैं, 42 लाख से अधिक परिवारों को। और हम लोगों ने कहा शहरी क्षेत्र में जिन 9 लाख लोगों का गृह प्रवेश हो गया है, उन 9 लाख परिवारों की तरफ से एक दीपक हम लोग अयोध्या में इस बार जलाएंगे।
Hailing the law and order situation in the state, the Chief Minister said that no riots have taken place in the state in the last 4 years, which was earlier a frequent thing around the festivals.
पर्व और त्योहार आते थे, जब कमाई करनी है, जब आस्था का सम्मान करना है, तब प्रदेश में कर्फ्यू लग जाता था। कर्फ्यू, दंगा, बड़े बड़े दंगे, क्योंकि पिछली सरकार की फितरत ही दंगों में थी। वे दंगाइयों को प्रश्रय देती थी, और प्रदेश में दंगों से बहुसंख्यक समाज प्रताड़ित तो होता था, झूठे मुकदमे दर्ज होते थे। जो मूर्ति बनाता था उसकी मूर्ति नहीं बिकती थी, जो दिया बनाता था उसके दिया टूट दिया तोड़ दिया जाता था, और उसके बाद पर्व और त्योहार को अंधेरे में धकेल दिया जाता था। लेकिन भाइयों बहनों, विगत 4.5 वर्ष के अंदर आपने देखा होगा उत्तर प्रदेश में एक भी दंगा नहीं हुआ।
Union Minister for Civil Aviation Jyotiraditya Scindia flagged off SpiceJet's inaugural flight between Delhi and Tirupati. The flight will now operate 3 days a week and 4 days a week from October 31st. SpiceJet is the first and the only airline in the country to operate non-stop flights on this sector. The airline already connects Tirupati with Hyderabad and Pune on its network. With the launch of these flights, passengers from Tirupati can now conveniently travel to a host of other cities, both on SpiceJet's domestic as well as on its international network via Delhi. Union Minister for Civil Aviation said that the government aims to construct 100 new airports by 2024.
हमारा संकल्प है कि 2024 तक 100 नए हवाई अड्डे देश में हम लोग बनाएंगे, 1000 नए रूट्स प्रचलित करेंगे, जिसमें से आज तक करीब 40 नए एयरपोर्ट्स बन चुके हैं और करीब 388 नए रूट्स प्रचलित हो चुके हैं। उस लक्ष्य की पूर्ति हम करके ही रहेंगे, जहां अनेक राज्य के छोटे एवं मध्यम शहरों को भी जोड़ने का कार्य किया जाएगा।
A bike rally comprising of 25 Tripura police personnel has left for Gujarat from Guwahati. The bike rally was flagged off on Friday from Tripura as part of the celebrations of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The team also visited the iconic Gandhi Mandap in Guwahati. The Assistant Commandant of the Tripura State Rifles, Sudarshan Das, while interacting with the media, mentioned that they are to cover about 3,500 kilometers starting from Tripura to reach Kevadia in Gujarat, where the Statue of Unity is located. He further stated that the team would represent Tripura as well as the northeast of the country in the National Unity Day to be observed centrally there, commemorating the birth anniversary of Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
इंडिया का जो डेप्यूटी प्राइम मिनिस्टर था सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल, उनका जो 31 अक्टूबर बर्थडे है, तो उनका जो उद्देश्य में जो स्टैचू ऑफ यूनिटी बनाया गुजरात में, उधर सेंट्रली बहुत बड़ा एक राष्ट्रीय एकता दिवस का प्रोग्राम होने जा रहा है। इसमें हम नॉर्थ ईस्ट का तरफ से त्रिपुरा स्टेट से त्रिपुरा पुलिस हम लोग 25 बाइक लेके उधर 3,500 किलोमीटर तकरीबन डिस्टेंस कवर करके हम लोग उधर पार्टिसिपेट करने जा रहे हैं। और साथ में ये नॉर्थ ईस्ट का हर आदमी का ये पैगाम लेके जा रहा है कि भारत का जातीय संहति ऐक्य एंड संप्रीति के साथ हम लोग पूरा जुड़ा हुआ है।
In Jammu and Kashmir, travel operators and people associated with the tourism industry feel relaxed as the tourist influx has increased in capital Srinagar. After easing of the COVID-19 induced curbs, tourists are visiting the region once again, giving boost to the tourism industry. Okay, every day on DD India, we bring you a special story on India's freedom struggle. In today's episode of what we call the saga of freedom struggle, we'll know how the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, chose Acharya Vinoba Bhave as the first satyagrahi to start the individual satyagraha.
On 17th October in 1940, the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, had chosen Acharya Vinoba Bhave as the first satyagrahi to start individual satyagraha. It is said that if Mahatma Gandhi's political guru was Gopal Krishna Gokhale, then his spiritual disciple was Acharya Vinoba Bhave.
The movement of individual satyagraha was launched by Gandhiji as a protest against the British colonial government forcing India into the Second World War without the consent of the Indian people. By May 15, 1941, 25,000 satyagrahis had courted arrest and demonstrated the commitment of the people towards the freedom movement.
Acharya Vinoba Bhave went to jail for individual satyagraha and the Quit India movement. During his period in jail, Acharya Vinoba read and wrote a lot and wrote 3 major books: Swaraj Shastra, Sthit Pragya Darshan and Ishavasya Wreath. He was released from jail on July 9, 1945 and returned to Pavanar in Maharashtra and continued working there under directions of Gandhiji.
Independent India had seen the sacrifice of Bapu and the division of the country. Acharya Vinoba Bhave reached Delhi and started the resettlement of Mave Muslims of Rajasthan.
The first meeting of Mahatma Gandhi and Vinoba Bhave on 7 June 1916 has its own simplicity. On that day, Vinoba reached Mahatma Gandhi's Kosharab ashram in Ahmedabad, and when the two met for the first time, they realized that there was an eternal bond between them. This bond continued throughout Vinoba Bhave's life as he stayed true to Gandhian philosophy forever.
His most important contribution was redistribution of land among sharecroppers under Bhudan movement through a change of heart of big landowners, which was among Mahatma Gandhi's core beliefs. He also raised awareness about the negative effects of alcoholism. The grandson of English poet Lord Alfred Tennyson, Hallam Tennyson, who was with Acharya Vinoba during his Padyatra, says in his book The Saint on the March,
Even in saints, there is a tiny bit of possessiveness, pride due to the sacrifices they have made. But Vinoba never allowed any of these to affect him, and he never told anyone to emulate him.
And let's now take a look at the updates on COVID-19 situation from across the world. COVID-19 has infected over 24 crore 11 lakh people, while more than 21 crore 83 lakh people have recovered from it globally. The number of fatalities from the virus has crossed 49 lakh 9,000 worldwide. The US continues to remain worst affected with the disease, where the number of COVID-19 cases are above 4 crore 57 lakh. The country has lost more than 7 lakh 44,000 lives from COVID-19 so far. And in Argentina, children above the age of 3 received jabs of COVID-19 vaccine at the Buenos Aires. The Argentine government deployed more than 450 health workers for the task of inoculating the dose to children between the age group of 3 and 11. Argentina has managed to provide 21 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines in the Buenos Aires province within the last 300 days. COVID-19 cases in Argentina have been showing a declining trend. The country has so far registered more than 52 lakh 72,000 cases of the disease, with over 1 lakh 15,000 fatalities. Russia witnessed record number of COVID-19 deaths on Saturday, reporting 1,002 fatalities in a single day. The country's daily COVID-19 deaths have passed the 1,000 mark for the first time. Russia's daily new infections also set a record for the 5th consecutive day, settling above 33,200. Russian authorities blame slow vaccination drive for the spike in the number of cases and fatalities. According to latest data released by the Russian coronavirus task force, only 48 million out of 144 million Russians are fully vaccinated. The latest rise in the number of cases has led the national tally to cross 79 lakh 58,000, with over 2 lakh 22,000 deaths so far. And after many months of being locked down due to COVID-19 pandemic, Melbourne, the most locked down city in the world since the start of the pandemic, is set to have restrictions on leaving home and its nightly curfew lifted as of October 22nd. But then the city, which is home to 5 million people, will have been under a hard stay-at-home order for the total of 263 days, or nearly 9 months since March 2020. While COVID cases keep rising in Victoria State, of which Melbourne is the capital, double vaccination rate for population is set to reach 70% next week, allowing for the ease in restrictions. Victoria recorded 1,838 new cases and 7 deaths. New South Wales, which had emerged from the 100 days in a continuous lockdown earlier in the week, reported 301 new cases and 10 deaths. 80% of the state population is now fully vaccinated. The representatives of the High Commission of India and the Assistant High Commissioner of India at Chattogram, Nanda Banerjee, paid tributes to the fallen Indian soldiers at the Chittagong War Cemetery on Sunday. The martyred Indian soldiers had fought under the flag of the Commonwealth countries against the Axis powers between 1939 to 1945 during the World War II. The cemetery contains 751 war graves, which include 14 sailors, 545 soldiers and 194 airmen. It houses the graves of soldiers from UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, East Africa, West Africa, Myanmar, Netherlands, Japan and undivided India. The deep water port of Chittagong, which was renamed as Chattogram, later was an advanced base for operations in the Arkansas. And also a hospital center. The Chittagong Memorial also contains names of 6,469 sailors of the Royal Indian Navy and the Merchant Navy who were lost at sea during the Second World War. The death toll from a deadly attack on a mosque in Kandar has risen to 47, with 70 injured. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack, which involved 4 fighters. The families of the victims of this incident are demanding security from the government. Security officials assure Kantar residents that they will identify and punish the perpetrators of the attack, which targeted worshippers. The attack has provoked strong reactions inside and outside the country, with the US and UN, Iran, Pakistan, the government of Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and former presidents of Afghanistan Hamid Karzai and Abdullah condemning the attack. And in some other international news, French President Emmanuel Macron has called the 1961 massacre of Algerians as an unforgivable crime. The president attended a ceremony outside Paris to remember the victims of the brutal crackdown on Algerian protesters by French police some 60 years ago. Algerian protesters also marched from Benzone, the west of Paris, where the remembrance ceremony was held. French authorities and relatives of the victims attended the small ceremony. Macron laid down a wreath while others threw white flowers into the river. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, scuffle broke out between supporters of the president and the opposition leader. The police used tear gas to break the scuffle between the two groups as lawmakers selected a new head of the Electoral Commission. The National Assembly chose Denis Kadima to lead the independent National Electoral Commission on a body that political analysts and diplomats criticized for its role in the disputed vote of 2018 that saw the election of Felix Tshisekedi as president. Around 10,000 Fayulu supporters marched to the streets in Kinshasa in protest over several issues, including the accusation that the process to select the leadership of CENI was being influenced by politicians. Thousands of Sudanese took to the streets on Saturday in the capital Khartoum to call for dissolving of joint military-civilian government of Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. The protests could further increase political tensions in Sudan, threatening its fragile transition to democracy more than 2 years after the military's overthrow of autocrat Omar al-Bashir, amid a public uprising against his rule. The demonstrations were organized by political parties and rebel groups that were part of the Forces for Declaration of Freedom and Changes, an umbrella group that led the uprising against al-Bashir. The country is now ruled by a joint military-civilian transitional government, but the tensions between the civilians and the generals have increased following a recently foiled coup attempt ahead of the demonstrations. Members of an unidentified armed group removed security barriers around the government buildings and prevented the police and security forces from going about their work. In a speech on Friday, civilian Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok presented a roadmap out of the crisis and warned that the route that not finding the resolution would throw the country's future to the wind. Where our biggest story in Italy, biggest workers' union rallied in Rome, calling the government to dissolve the neo-fascist groups involved in last weekend's violent protests against COVID-19 health pass. The police in Italy last week detained 12 people, including leaders of the extreme right-wing party Forza Nuova, after thousands of people took to the streets to oppose the mandatory green passes for all workers. Some groups broke through police lines to reach the Prime Minister's office. Others smashed their way into the headquarters of Italy's largest trade union. Riots drew widespread condemnation, including from Matteo Salvini and Giorgia Meloni, the leaders of the Rightist League and Brothers of Italy party, respectively. Perfumes of smoke were seen billowing from the Lysol fire raging in the U.S. in California. A video of that inferno, which broke out yesterday or broke out on Monday about 20 miles from northwest of Santa Barbara, was released by the International Space Station. The blaze quickly spread amidst tight strong winds, shutting down of a section of a major highway and commuter train lines. Till Saturday, the authorities contained 50% of the fire. U.S. Space Agency NASA launched a spacecraft called Lucy on the 12-year mission to explore Jupiter's Trojan asteroids for the first time on Saturday, gathering new insights into the solar system's communication. The Atlas V rocket responsible for propelling the probe took off from Cape Canaveral in the United States. Named after an ancient fossil of pre-human ancestor, Lucy will become the first solar-powered spacecraft to venture so far from the Sun and will observe more asteroids than any probe before it, 8 in all. Lucy will also make 3 Earth flybys for gravity assist, making it the first spacecraft to return to our planet's vicinity from outer solar system. The Board of Cricket Control for India, or the BCCI, on Sunday invited applications for positions of head coach, batting coach, bowling coach, and the fielding coach for the senior men's team. Additionally, the board also opened for applications for the role of head sports science in the National Cricket Academy. And the deadline for the application for the head coach position is set at 5 p.m. on October 26, 2021. And for more on that story, I am joined by my colleague Taposh Bhattacharya. Taposh, give us a sense of now, Ravi Shastri has already sort of spoken his mind and said he wouldn't want to, seek another term. The BCCI formally invited applications for these coaches that I mentioned, including the head coach. What sort of a change could we see? Who are the front runners for all these positions, the head coach, the batting coach, the bowling coach, etc.?
Well, first and foremost, Amritpal, you have to understand the fact that the BCCI actually set the ball rolling for the new coach position. Remember, a couple of days back, in fact, yesterday, Rahul Dravid's name came into prominence. In fact, both BCCI President Saurav Ganguly, along with the Secretary Jai Shah, had a closed-door meeting with Rahul Dravid during the final of the IPL final, and somehow managed to pursue him. Remember, earlier also, Rahul Dravid was given a chance of coaching the Indian senior team, and he refused that, and currently he is an integral part of India A team along with the under-19 team, and has played a major role in some of the young players who have matured and graduated from the under-19 and the Indian A team to the senior team. So it was a matter of time before Rahul Dravid is given a position, a formal position for Indian team's coaching role. Now, having had a discussion with him during the IPL final, the ball had to set rolling. And remember, Ravi Shastri's tenure is still the T20 World Cup. After that, he will cease to be Indian team's coach. So it was high time that BCCI started the process, and a cricket advisory committee will also be formed to look into the different people who will be applying for the post. Apart from the coach role, main head coach role, there will be a batting coach which will be up for grab along with the bowling coach. So for batting coach, Rathore has been Vikram Rathore is currently the batting coach, but it seems that he will also have to reapply for the post. We've been told told that by our sources that Paras Mamre will be getting a close look in for the bowling coach's role, and he comes in. He will be coming along with Rahul Dravid. So Rahul Dravid, in fact, apparently has also spoken good about Paras Mamre. So we will be having new team management in place, and it will be interesting to see how they present themselves, especially to the cricket administrator Kobit and the BCCI members who will be quite keen to know exactly what kind of a role or what kind of what you call the situation they would like to see in their Indian team for the next few years. They would like to know the role or the model in which they would like to shape this particular Indian team. So overall, this is just a start. As I said, the BCCI had set the ball rolling for the formal appointment of Rahul Dravid, as was predicted, and it's just a matter of time. November 3rd, 5 p.m. is the deadline for this particular, the position to be filled in. It will be interesting to see whether Rahul Dravid applies for the position or not. He has, what we've been told, has agreed in principle, but whether or not he applies, it still remains to be seen. If he applies, then definitely he is one of the front runner, if not the only candidate for this particular job.
But Tapas, how does it work? I mean, there are applications for individual positions, say the fielding coach, the bowling coach, the batting coach. But the head coach is a very important position. If, say, Rahul Dravid comes in, would he bring his team along with people he gets along well?
That's the whole idea.
Who sit well with his thinking of how the team needs to transform, etc.?
Generally, that's the case. If a head coach is appointed in any sport for that matter, if you take a close look, you realize that when a head coach is appointed, he brings along with him his wards, his team of players, or his team of coaches who does the man management. In this particular Indian team, you realize that most of the Indian players are actually pretty much on their own. They require a man management, or for that matter, if there is a slump in the form, the role of the coaches become at that time more important, because they try to rectify some of the key issues for a batsman, or for that matter for a bowler. So we have seen that both Bharat Arun and other coaches have done. Sridhar has done real remarkable work with the Indian team. In fact, this particular Indian team is one of the most fittest, and one of the it's one of the strong point of this particular Indian team is its bowling. It will be interesting to see how they take this new team which will come into existence. The Cricket Advisory Committee, as I spoke about, which it will pick up the head coach along with the bowling coach and the batting coach. It will be interesting to see what goes in the meeting, and how they shape up India's future. But one thing is for sure, if India has to become powerhouse, in fact India is one of the strong one of the strongest countries in terms of cricket, but if it has to become a powerhouse in the game of cricket, it has to win more ICC tournament. In the tenure of both Ravi Shastri along with Virat Kohli, what is missing is the big tournament, ICC tournament, and Virat Kohli will be looking to rectify that in this particular World T20. But given the scenario so far, the BCCI is keen that it win more ICC tournaments and becomes one of the powerhouses in cricket.
All right, we'll leave it there. Tapas Bhattacharya, many thanks for joining us and giving us that update. Well, that's it then in News Connect for today. Have a good day. Namaskar.
The changing world of news. Headlines that you wake up to. News that shapes your day. Stories that matter to you. The latest and most accurate updates. A fresh start to a new day. The Breakfast News, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. on